Hey Taylor, did you know our smartphones are like little detectives, always snooping around?
Really? I thought only spies did that. What do you mean?
Well, it's about privacy. You know, like how much of our personal info from our apps can access without us realizing it.
Oh, you mean like when we sign up for an app and click agree without reading the fine print?
Exactly. But don't worry, there are privacy laws in place to protect us. So, Taylor, have you heard about GDPR?
Isn't that some fancy tech lingo?
Kind of. GDPR stands for General Data Protection Regulation. It's a law in Europe that gives people more control over their personal data.
That sounds like a big deal. But what about here in the Philippines?
In the Philippines, privacy is safeguarded by various laws and regulations. One of the most significant is the Data Privacy Act of 2012. The Data Privacy Act regulates the collection, processing, and handling of personal information by both government and private entities. It ensures that individuals have control over their personal data and protects them from unauthorized access, use, and disclosure.
That sounds reassuring. But how is it enforced in practice?
The National Privacy Commission, NPC, oversees the implementation of the Data Privacy Act. It conducts investigations, issues guidelines, and imposes penalties on entities found violating privacy laws. The NPC also provides resources and guidance to organizations to help them comply with data protection standards.
Ah, got it. So, these laws are like the privacy police keeping companies in check?
Exactly. But sometimes things get tricky, and that's where court rulings come in. Privacy issues end up in court, and judges have to decide who's in the right.
So, it's like a showdown between people's privacy rights and companies' interests?
Yes, indeed. In recent years, Philippine courts have issued decisions affirming the importance of privacy rights. For example, the Supreme Court has ruled against warrantless searches and surveillance, emphasizing the need for legal safeguards to protect individuals' privacy.
That's a big deal. What did the court decide?
They said, yes, you do need a warrant. It was a win for privacy.
Wow, I had no idea privacy was such a big deal.
Yep, it's like our digital rights are on the line every time we use our phones or go online.
Thanks for breaking it down, Alex. I'll definitely think twice before I click agree next time.
No problem, Taylor. Remember, it's important to know your rights and protect your privacy online. Hey Taylor, you know how we were just talking about privacy laws and apps? I found some interesting info about legislative acts that affect our privacy.
Oh, really? I had no idea there were laws about that. Tell me more.
Well, legislation that protects us from data privacy abuses by corporations is kind of scarce. Even though there are a bunch of laws and acts out there, we don't have one big national policy for data privacy in the US.
That's surprising. So, how can we keep track of all these laws?
Good question. There's this website called the Electronic Privacy Information Center. You can find updates on privacy legislation there.
Cool. I'll check that out. But what exactly do these laws cover?
There's a whole bunch of stuff like financial data, health info, kids' personal data, electronic surveillance, and more. Let's start with financial data.
Ah, like when we use credit cards and stuff.
Exactly. When we sign up for financial products or services, we have to share a ton of personal info, and that info can be at risk if it's not protected properly. That's where laws like the Fair Credit Reporting Act come in. They're designed to make sure the info gathered by credit reporting companies is accurate, fair, and kept private.
That makes sense. But what about government access to our financial records?
Ah, good question. The Right to Financial Privacy Act gives us some protection there. Before the government can access our financial records, they have to follow certain procedures and get our written consent.
I had no idea there were so many layers to this. What about laws that affect banks and financial institutions?
So, in 1999, they passed this law called the Gramm-Leach-Bliley Act, or GLBA for short. It was meant to modernize banking, but it also had rules to protect our privacy.
What kind of rules?
Well, one of them is the Financial Privacy Rule. It says that financial institutions have to tell us what info they're collecting about us and who they're sharing it with. Plus, they have to give us the option to say no thanks to sharing our info.
That sounds important. So, we have some control over our financial data, at least.
Yep, it's all about knowing our rights and keeping our personal info safe. Well, that was a lot to take in, but I'm glad we talked about it.
Absolutely. It's crucial to understand how our financial data is handled and to exercise our rights to protect our privacy.
Right. And speaking of laws affecting financial institutions, let's not forget about the Anti-Money Laundering Act, AMLA, here in the Philippines.
Oh, I've heard about that one. Isn't it about preventing illegal activities like money laundering?
Exactly. AMLA requires financial institutions to verify and monitor customer identities and report any suspicious transactions to the authorities. While it's aimed at combating financial crimes, it also plays a role in safeguarding our financial privacy by ensuring that our transactions are secure and legitimate.
That's important to know. It's reassuring to see how laws are in place to protect both our privacy and the integrity of the financial system.
Absolutely. And beyond financial data, there are also laws and regulations that address other aspects of privacy, such as health information and electronic surveillance.
Health information privacy sounds crucial, especially with the sensitive nature of medical records. Are there specific laws in the Philippines for that?
Yes, indeed. The Data Privacy Act also covers health information, ensuring that our medical records are kept confidential and only accessed by authorized individuals or entities. Additionally, the Philippine Health Insurance Corporation, PhilHealth, has its own policies to safeguard the privacy and security of patient data.
It's reassuring to know that our personal health information is protected by law. And what about electronic surveillance? With technology becoming more prevalent in our lives, I can imagine there are concerns about privacy in that area too.
Pose risks to our privacy if not properly regulated. The Philippines has laws like the Anti-Wiretapping Act and the Cybercrime Prevention Act to address these concerns and protect individuals from unlawful interception of communications and online privacy breaches.
It's impressive to see how the legal framework is evolving to keep pace with advancements in technology and address emerging privacy challenges.
So Taylor, now that we've covered the overview of those privacy aspects, let's talk about health information privacy in-depthly.
Sure. I'm curious to learn more about how our medical records are protected.
Well, one of the primary laws addressing health information privacy is HIPAA, the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act.
I've heard of HIPAA before, but I'm not exactly sure what it entails.
HIPAA was designed to improve the portability and continuity of health insurance coverage, reduce fraud, waste, and abuse in healthcare delivery, and simplify the administration of health insurance.
That sounds like a comprehensive law. How does HIPAA protect our health information?
HIPAA requires healthcare organizations to use standardized electronic transactions, codes, and identifiers for medical records, ensuring that patient data can be exchanged securely over the internet. It also mandates that patients must give written consent before their medical information is disclosed to anyone.
That's reassuring to know. It's essential for patients to have control over who can access their medical records.
Absolutely. And healthcare organizations must appoint privacy officers to develop policies and procedures for handling sensitive patient data, as well as train employees on data security best practices.
It's good to hear that healthcare providers are taking steps to protect patient privacy. With the increasing digitization of medical records, it's more important than ever to ensure that our health information remains confidential.
Definitely. And HIPAA also imposes penalties for non-compliance, including fines and potential criminal charges for serious violations.
That's a strong deterrent against mishandling patient data. It's clear that HIPAA plays a crucial role in safeguarding our health information privacy.
So, Taylor, now let's shift our focus to children's personal data privacy. Did you know that there are laws in place to protect children's online privacy?
I've heard about COPPA, the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, but I'm not familiar with the details.
COPPA requires websites that cater to children to provide comprehensive privacy policies, notify parents about data collection practices, and obtain parental consent before collecting personal information from children under 13 years old.
That sounds like an important law, especially with so many kids spending time online these days. It's crucial to protect their privacy and ensure they're not being targeted by advertisers or exposed to inappropriate content.
Absolutely. COPPA has had a significant impact on how companies collect and use data from children online, leading to improved privacy protections for young users.
It's good to know that there are regulations in place to safeguard children's online privacy. Parents can feel more confident allowing their kids to explore the digital world knowing that their personal information is protected.
Definitely. And as technology continues to evolve, it's essential for lawmakers to stay proactive in addressing emerging privacy concerns, especially when it comes to protecting vulnerable populations like children. Now, let's talk about electronic surveillance and the laws governing government surveillance activities.
That's a hot topic, especially with concerns about privacy and government overreach. What laws are in place to regulate electronic surveillance?
One of the key laws is Title III of the Omnibus Crime Control and Safe Streets Act, also known as the Wiretap Act. It regulates the interception of wire and oral communications and requires law enforcement to obtain a warrant before conducting electronic surveillance.
That sounds like an important safeguard against unlawful surveillance. But with advances in technology, are these laws still effective?
That's a valid concern. With the rapid advancements in technology, there are ongoing debates about whether existing laws adequately address modern surveillance methods like digital communications and data tracking.
Right, especially with the prevalence of smartphones and social media platforms where so much of our communication happens digitally.
Exactly. And laws like the Electronic Communications Privacy Act, ECPA, and the USA Patriot Act have been amended to address these technological advancements and expand the government's surveillance capabilities.
It's a delicate balance between national security interests and protecting individuals' privacy rights. Have there been any significant court rulings regarding electronic surveillance?
Yes, there have been several notable court cases challenging the legality of government surveillance programs. One landmark case was Katz v. United States, which established the concept of a reasonable expectation of privacy under the Fourth Amendment.
It's fascinating how these court rulings shape our understanding of privacy rights in the digital age.
Absolutely. And with ongoing debates about government surveillance and privacy, it's crucial for courts to continue interpreting the law in ways that balance security needs with individual freedoms.
Well said, Alex. Let's continue to stay vigilant and proactive in defending our privacy rights.
Well, it's been a great conversation, Taylor. Thanks for discussing these important issues with me.
Thank you for the very interesting and informative conversation, Alex. Let's catch up again soon.
Sounds like a plan. Take care, Taylor.
You too, Alex. Bye for now.